All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Life Before. I am the host, Domonique Holliday, and CEO of Holliday Systems Inc. And I have two of my partners here with me. I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into a very exciting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. My name is Timothy Lewis. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at Holliday Systems Inc.
Yep, and I'm Pia Raleigh, the Director of Agile Transformation. But before we proceed, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can find out more about all of our programs and all the topics on Agile. And also feel free to comment if you have any questions. This discussion is not just for us, it's also for you guys. So feel free, ask any questions or any comments.
All right, so let's get right into it. So Pia, we kind of divided and conquered with the events that we went to. So you went to Afrotech. Tim and I went to Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. They both were amazing events from what we have all brought back to our table, our round table in a sense. So I'll let you go first, and let's just talk about Afrotech and what was the hardest thing about networking there? Or you could go right into like, what was the highlight of Afrotech? Let's start there. The highlight of Afrotech.
For me, the highlight was everything. I know that's not too descriptive, but I loved everything about Afrotech because they offered so much variety. They had a number of different sessions for networking. They provided us with food and refreshments and things like that. They had a number of different seminars covering different topics in the tech industry. Artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, product development, even topics on how to get investments for startups. So I thought that was super dope. They even had like an outside session set up. The outside session was cool. They had a ton of different food trucks, delicious food. Even had a little twist of getting some of the Houston flavor, which I absolutely loved. And it's Afrotech, so they had the section set up with the music and the DJ. People had an opportunity to dance and have some fun. There was a number of different things, but what I liked, I went with a friend of mine who was also new to tech. Well, I can't say also, but she's new to tech and looking for work. And she also had the opportunity to have live interviews, 3 live interviews. So one thing about the expo, there were a ton of top companies there. So she was able to get 3 interviews on spot, which was super big. So I'm going to say that there were a ton of different highlights. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-day event. We arrived on Tuesday. I arrived Tuesday. It was from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They had a block party on Saturday. It was a super, super, super nice event. So I definitely recommend going. I know it's going to be there again next year in Houston, Texas. So I would recommend you guys, taking the time out. Use it as a little vacation and an opportunity to explore the technology and also networking and meeting, not only just meeting new people or like-minded people. Not only are you able to be exposed to companies for interviews, but even if you're like someone looking for a mentor, that's a good place to also look for a mentor. So that's my 2 cents for Afrotech. I don't know what you guys experience with your. I didn't go to Thanksgiving. That.
So let me chime in on that too. So you said something about mentors. I'm gonna plug this because we will be at Afrotech next year, and if you are looking for a mentor, we will be there to help you. So I just want to say that really quick because we do mentorships, we do coaching, we do a lot of things in Holliday Systems Inc. So we'll be there in Afrotech next year. So thanks, Pia, on Afrotech. So Tim, I want to get your insight on Thanksgiving, and I'll give my insight as well. But what was the highlight of Thanksgiving to you?
Definitely. So for those of you who don't know, Thanksgiving this year, and I think maybe every year, takes place in Washington, D.C. I'm from the area originally, from Maryland, right outside of D.C., so it's kind of a homecoming for me. But from a highlight perspective, I'll try not to start with the food trucks because they had food trucks there too, which were really nice for me. But I think just the amount of diversity as far as the knowledge that was brought there, right? There was different seminars, as you mentioned, on product, on security, on AI. But the one that stood out to me, which resonated throughout different seminars and Spark sessions that they had there, was entrepreneurship. There was a very big focus on entrepreneurship, and for those like us who are entrepreneurs, for lack of better words, it really resonated with me. There was lots of great speakers who were entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs who gave great talks and lessons on tips and tricks for up and coming entrepreneurs. So that was one of the things that stood out to me. The other thing that I would say that stood out was just the networking, right? The amount of people that were there from all different areas of technology was really cool, from government contracting to product development. As you mentioned, cybersecurity was a big focus there as well. Folks like us who are in project management, even, which you don't see as much at these tech events, because sometimes that's the one that can be left to the wayside, not thought about as much, or not as much of a main focus. But even project management was focused on as well. But I think the entrepreneurship, as well as just the people and the knowledge that was brought there to come together in a huge event in our nation's capital, they killed it.
Yeah. And what about expos? Were there any? I know, like I said, Afrotech had so many companies, probably like 100, if I'm not like tripping on the number.
Yeah, so there wasn't as many companies, maybe not 100 companies, but they had folks like Google there and other companies as well. There wasn't as many. I don't think there was as big of a focus on that, but there was definitely a smaller expo area where people were meeting with vendors and companies that were sponsoring and doing things like that. So I thought that was interesting as well. I think, when you go to some of these events, you have a goal in mind. One of the goals that we had in mind was not only to learn and focus on entrepreneurship and some of the things that we were teaching, but one of our main goals there was to network and meet people and get our name out there. I found that part of it at TechSgiving a little bit more of a challenge for me, because I think so many other people's goals there were a little bit different. But they had really cool things going on outside of TechSgiving, like part of the event, but not necessarily part of the in-person sessions. Like they had a U Street takeover. U Street's a very famous street in DC. There's lots of bars and stuff like that, restaurants. And they had other events going on outside, like after hours, outside of the TechSgiving event, which provided that opportunity and that forum for people to hang out and network and get to know each other and talk and have fun. And I think those things are really important when you're networking and building connections. It has to be the right environment. So as much as there was knowledge and a lot to learn from the event itself, there was also some opportunities provided from a community standpoint outside of the event. And I thought that was a really cool aspect that they incorporated into it.
Yeah, I have a question. So,
Sure.
so they didn't so the networking, I know you mentioned they didn't create many environments for networking, right? And
Sure.
also limitation on, I guess, the opportunity for people to have on the spot interviews. So would you say, is it like I guess an event that's kind of catered to, or not so much catered to, for people who are like new to the industry or looking to get in, because I feel like Afrotech was, right, with the networking, getting to know people. A lot of times you get jobs because you know people. The opportunity to interview. It doesn't sound like.
Yeah. Let me talk with that, Tim. So I think it was opportunities there, but like Tim said, we went there for a specific reason and goal. So if that was going on, I don't want to say it wasn't, because it may have been going on, but that's not the reason we went there, right? The reason we went there was to acquire partnerships, learn about government contracting, and help others get into tech ourselves. So we were looking more for the individuals that were kind of wandering around, kind of lost. It was new to tech. Some of the sessions that we went to, it was on marketing, startups, entrepreneurship, things like that. So I don't want to say it wasn't there, because there was a lot going on there. But what we experienced, we didn't experience any of that you did, because we weren't looking for it. And like we said earlier, we were looking for things, but it was not that. Go ahead, Tim.
The one thing I will say is, so I mentioned that U Street takeover party that was going on. One of the events that they had was titled Breaking into Tech, or Break into Tech. So we actually went to that one. And we met a handful of people. And I also met people at the event who weren't in tech and were looking to get into tech. So I think it depends on, what you saw, right? There was a lot going on. There was multiple spark sessions, I call them, or seminars or speakers, right? Or shows going on throughout both days that we were there. So maybe we missed some of it, but I think there was some things that were catered towards people who were trying to break into tech. And we tried to take advantage of that by going to one of the events for it, which was after hours. It was part of the U Street takeover, which was a good time.
That's why I asked. So for our followers or everyone who's watching right now, right now, everyone is not in the same position that we're in, right? They're not going to go to these events to do what we're going to these events for. So I want to kind of give them some insight in case they consider in the future that they may want to go to Afrotech or they may want to go to Techsgiving. What can they look forward to? So will they have the opportunity to network with other people, to look for mentors or to look for work or to interview at different jobs, or for different companies. So that was the reason why I asked. I know for
based on the debrief that I got from you at Afrotech, I think that might be a better place for someone who is looking to. I mean, you mentioned like over 100 companies were there, right? Giving live interviews on the spot. And maybe some of the companies at Techsgiving were doing the same thing. We didn't go there for that, so we didn't see that. But I think I would lean more towards Afrotech for that reason. But not to throw any shade on Techsgiving, because Techsgiving was awesome. So
yeah.
So one thing that I did see was FBI was there. A lot of government agencies were there, right? Because it is DC. DC looking for tech resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything in the world today is technology touches it, right? It has an effect on it. So some of those positions, I wouldn't say they will be so open to certain individuals coming in, right? Because I know with the FBI, you probably need a secret clearance, top secret clearance, and things like that, or something. Yeah. So when you go to Afrotech, from what you're saying, it's more broader. Like you have way more companies that you can speak with, get live interviews, and maybe break into tech that way, or maybe a mentorship, an internship, things like that. I think Techsgiving, it was so much going on as far as catering to what's around Washington, D.C., which that's why we went there.
Yeah.
Primarily, we wanted to learn more about different things so HSI can expand in different industries, because we are trying to touch a numerous of things. So before we go down this rabbit hole, I do want to get to some of the other questions I have laid out. That's why I keep looking at the phone lady.
I agree. I just wanted to point out that I wanted to just try to make it clear to our audience what the advantages of both, outside of our own preferences, what we observe, so they know if they're considering going to any one of them next year, they'll know what to look forward to. So I think that was a good contrast and comparison.
Agree.
Yes. So let's segue into what was the hardest thing about networking at these events.
I can go really quickly. The number one thing I'm going to advise from what I learned, I'm going to be honest with you all, is not being prepared. Okay, period. So I'm going to say this, and I know Tim has something that he probably would want to add. We spoke about it earlier, but for me, I'm going to advise, just from my own experience, to use YouTube on how to network. I mean, how to converse with people, how to determine if you should continue to speak to certain people. Also, what type of questions you should have, or you should ask these people when you're first beginning your discussion. Just being prepared, right? And then familiarizing yourself with the type of events that are going on, so you know which ones to attend that cater what you're looking for. So that's my 2 cents. If you are not, because what I've learned is that, even including myself, you'll go to these events and think, oh yeah, I can speak to people. Yes, I'm also social. I'll have no problem engaging. And that is incorrect. There is a strategy. There's like a method to this networking thing. And you want to make sure that you're holding valuable conversations, and not only that, with the right people. And then you also don't want to do it for too long if it's with the wrong person, especially if you have a specific goal. In order for you to achieve that goal, it needs to be a strategy. That's my 2 cents that I've picked up anyway. How about you, Tim?
You pretty much nailed it, Pia. I think the hardest part could be for somebody not being prepared, right? Everybody thinks, as you mentioned, I'm social, I'm good at talking to people. Like, I personally experienced that. And even at Techsgiving, I had a hard time in certain circumstances networking with people. My experience with Techsgiving was everybody was there, as I mentioned, for different goals. We were there for a different goal. I think a lot of people were there for learning, and a lot of times I didn't want to stop people right in their stride and start to talk to them. So there is a little bit of an art to it. You have to be prepared. The one thing I'll say is do a little bit of research when you're going to an event like this. Know who's going to be there. Know who you want to talk to. Know what you want to get out of the connections, right? it's great to just talk to people, but if you have a goal, if you have a specific thing you want to accomplish,
Yeah.
It's good to be prepared and know what you're walking into, and then have a bit of a strategy. The other thing I mentioned is there's a little bit of an art to it, because you don't want to just stop someone when they're walking in the middle of their stride. They're going somewhere, and if you do, it might not be a comfortable conversation, because they're like, get away from me, I don't have time to talk right now, or something like that. So I think being very tactical about how you go approach somebody to begin with, and then have a plan in mind for, hey, this is what I want to accomplish out of a connection with this person. And then make sure you execute on it, because the day goes real quick, and before you know it, the event is over, and you're like, I wish I connected with more people. But I think we did fairly well. We had a little bit of a rocky start when it came to networking, but we kind of huddled up, came up with a plan, said, hey, this is what we need to change, had a little inspect and adapt exercise, and then we went back out there and killed it. So I think ultimately for us, it was good, but it can be a challenge if you don't prepare, and you just walk in there assuming, I'm a people person, I'm social, and I know how to talk to people. So there's an art to it.
To say something to what you just said. So I agree, because even as Damo mentioned, with Afrotech, there appear to be more companies that are government based, right? And they're likely looking for seasoned people, right? But even if that's not the case, the fact of the matter is that more government based on the location. And if you're not aware of that, you may go with a different frame of mind, right? Which is totally different than the environment at Afrotech, which would obviously require a different approach, because that's not the case. There wasn't a ton of government types of companies there. There were actually companies looking for new, fresh faces, juniors, that are not seasoned. So I think that was a valid point for sure. Knowing where you're walking into, so you know what to expect.
Right. Well, I can add on to that. Wear the right shoes. Wear the right shoes.
What are you talking about?
What do I choose? Wear the right shoes. That's hilarious, Tim.
Yeah, wear the right shoes.
I don't think that's really relevant to networking. If you go to an event like this, you want to make sure you wear the right shoes. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. You don't want to end up, with any issues with your feet, blisters, nothing like that. For first 5 minutes you're there. So wear the right shoes.
Yeah, that is a true fact, because my feet were killing me, and I wore kitten heels. I've worn out plenty of times, and we were there for hours. Okay, my feet were done.
Yeah, and get plenty of rest, because I came there on like 2 hours of sleep. So I was sleepy, and my brain wasn't functioning the right way. So even if I wanted to go talk to someone, I probably would be slurring my words or something. So I did a lot of listening the first day, and then when Tim and I went back to the room and did an inspect and adapt, similar to like a retrospective, like what was going well, what can we improve on? We went back out, like he said, we killed it. So yeah, be prepared. And one thing that goes into being prepared for these things is utilizing LinkedIn. Because they're promoted a lot on LinkedIn. I know a lot of people like to be on Instagram, they like to be on Facebook, but when you're going into getting a business type role or a tech role, you will want to look at things on LinkedIn, their website, things like that, because social media is great, but if you are really looking to advance in your career, I feel like utilizing LinkedIn will be the best way to do that, because that's business. That's a business network. That's a business type social media platform. Now, Instagram, YouTube is good for learning. Instagram is good for like showing the day-to-day, but utilizing LinkedIn. So have your LinkedIn already on your phone, because I know some people scanned your LinkedIn, Tim. Scan my Popple code, which has all of my information there, and make sure that you get the information from the person, right? Because they're making a lot of connections while they are networking. Make sure that you have, I wouldn't say a sheet, but you exchange information. Like you make sure you take their information and you give them your information. Whatever way you go into doing that, make sure it happens, because what'll happen is you get home, and you say, oh, I really like that person. I gave him my card, but now I don't have their information to reach back out to them.
Yeah. Can you tell them about the Popple though? I think I wanted to actually I know a lot of people know about it, but not everyone. And there's other apps. Just tell them what that is exactly. I'm using Blink, but there's others.
So Popple is an application that you can use to populate everything you want someone to know about you, and you can have an intake form. So you take their information and you'll get their phone number, email. You can even get their address if you want. I wouldn't say to do that, but you can get your phone number, email address, and other things that you will want to use when reaching back out to that person and staying in contact with that person. Now, there's different forms of Popple. You have the basic, then you have the pro. Pro is normally used by business owners or people that are going to be following up with businesses. So you can export, it's like a CRM. So you can export all of that information into a spreadsheet, and then you can strategically approach anyone that you did encounter. And now Popple has made another advancement or enhancement to the application, and where you can use AI to respond back, and it'll tell you where you met that person at.
Okay.
It'll give them a message, and it'll send them, oh, I love speaking to you here. This is what time we met. Can we do a follow-up call? So Popple is really a great tool to use when you go into these events.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing about Popple is, to simplify it, it's a digital business card, right?
Mm-hmm.
It stops you from having to carry a stack of business cards and getting business cards from people, and you put it in your pocket, and then you take it to the dry cleaners, and you never have the business card again, or you lose it, or things like that. So not only does it have a lot of information on there that's relevant to you, but it's really a digital business card that will eliminate that need to have to carry one or save other people's and worry about losing them. So
I have a question. Have you guys ever gone anywhere before you had your Popple or your virtual business card and then felt super unprofessional because you didn't have a card? Has it ever happened? Like when you first maybe in networking or your professional career, and then you've gone out like, shoot, I don't have either cards, or I wish I had my virtual card. No, it's happened to me. I've gone out and I didn't have my cards, and I noticed everyone was tapping their phone. I'm like, girl, you're at this networking event and you don't have your virtual card. So make sure before you go, you download it, you fill it out. It doesn't even take long before you go, because it definitely ruins your professional. That's my advice.
So I'm gonna pull it up really quick here. I want them to see what it looks like. Allow Popple share. So this is the view of the teams. Now I'm gonna go to the preview of Popple. So if you look here, this is the team view, and I'm sharing the wrong screen. 1 second. Because I really want them to know what it looks like and where you can find it. And then I'll even put the Popple link in the chat. But it is really a great tool to use right here. Here you go. So if you look here, when you scan my Popple, you have to put your full name, your email address, your phone number, job title, company that you work at. And you don't have to put these things, but these 3 are required. Now going over, you have all of my information, the different communities that we do have. And then you have my commercial here that I came up with a little later. Then you have all of my social media. So it's a great tool to use so people can maybe go back and look at it later, because you are on the go a lot at these events. So you scan that, now you're like, oh, Domonique Holliday, let me go back and let me look at all of his stuff. Now, oh, I'm very interested. Let me follow up with this person. So having it strategically laid out to make interest or acquire interest in the person you're speaking with, because you may only have 3 minutes to talk to someone, and now they have all your information. You have all their information. So I just wanted everyone to see what Popple was, and maybe you'll want to use it one day.
Yeah, make sure you have your virtual business cards. You don't want to feel like me.
No, you're great, Pia. I know you improvise.
Yeah, that's good work.
So, yeah, so Popple, LinkedIn. Let's talk about some of these mixers. Did you go to any mixers, Pia?
I did not go to any mixers at Afrotech, no. I mean, I've gone to mixers outside of Afrotech. If we're still talking about, no, I didn't go to any of those. Only thing I attended was the ones that was actually during the day, during the conference. But I can say that going to mixers in general, depending on the mixers you go to, you can easily get distracted and forget that you're there to network. So make sure if you are there to network, you stay on point, because sometimes they turn these things into little parties and you start having a good time and not necessarily focusing on your goals. So that's my
Yeah. So mixers, I've been to a few mixers, not just at Thanksgiving, but the mixers that I have attended, the music is too loud, right?
oh.
It's too loud. You can't really speak to anyone. You have to go into like a bathroom or outside. And during the winter, it is bad. You do not want to go outside of a mixer during the winter.
Or the bathroom.
So that's or the bathroom. You never know what's going on in the bathroom. But I want us to start doing mixers ourselves and have a very low tone, like a very elegant tone, So that will be coming in 2025. I want to plug that in right now. We will be doing mixers in 2025 so people can come there, network, and not have to be shouting over music or trying to pull someone outside, or it's just going to be a very laid back. You might have some hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that, but stay tuned. We will be releasing the dates on the mixers as well. So the mixer thing is just the music is too loud in most cases.
And that's what I mean. Like with the mixers, like you can quickly get it. You can quickly turn it into a whole vibe. Like you'll forget what you're there for, and it's because of that music. Like you'll start feeling like you're at a party. I went to one Thursday. I had a really good time, but I didn't get a chance to. My mind was distracted easily. Like once they did they did have like a speed networking. It almost looked like speed dating. So when I came in, I saw people with name tags, and then I saw like maybe like 20 tables set up in like a circle almost. And I noticed like there were 2 people per table, but they were speaking. Everyone was speaking. And I'm like, there's no way these people are just like here hanging out. They must be on some type of speed something. So they'd have a speed networking, which I thought was pretty cool. But I came at the end. So I think that was the time for them to actually engage with one another without the interruption of music. And then they had like their additional conversations on stage, and they presented certain things. But after that, music was all the way loud. There was no additional networking.
Yeah,
so I think you're gonna have a mixer. Sometimes these mixers will have separate time frames for everything. So pay attention to that. If you're going to go to the mixer, sometimes they'll have it early on where the music is lower. They give you the opportunity to network with one another. Make sure you make it earlier, because if you get there too late, then that's when they usually have more of a party vibe, from my experience too.
Yeah, to add to that, Pia, so it reminds me of something that we experienced when we went to Thanksgiving, and it goes back to do your preparation. So we went to one of the houses when we went to the takeover of U Street, and we were like, hey, now we're going to capitalize on this networking. And we went to one of the places, and we got there and the music was blasting like a nightclub. And we were like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So it was one of those situations where you're like in someone's ear trying to talk, the other person's in your ear trying to talk. And it was a little bit of a challenge there with the networking. So again, do your research, make sure you're prepared. It might not go always the way you think it's going to go. So as prepared as you can be, the more successful you have achieving the goal that you have set out going into one of these events.
What is the definition of a mixer anyway? Does anyone know what the definition of it is? Because networking is one thing, right? A networking event. What is the definition of a mixer? Like I know if it's called networking event, then it's likely going to be networking. It's usually more calm. But mixers, is that like a?
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, but this could be completely wrong. So don't roast me in the comments or something. I think the difference is when you go to a networking event, a lot of times I think similarly like-minded people are there, like maybe in one specific industry, or they might be like themed to a specific industry, or it could just be like business in general, right? But I think mixers can be like all over the place. You could have people who are there in business. You could have people who are not in business. You could have people who are unemployed. Like it could be all over the place. And I think it's more of a social event than it is more of like a networking event is more for like professional, if that makes sense. But
see, I was following
wrong.
Networking event is more industry specific. I do agree with that. And then I was thinking that a mixer is not industry specific, but it's still professional specific, right? So for professionals, however, they can be from finance, technology, health industry. That's what I think I've noticed. That everyone was still professionals, all different areas of industry. So
I've been to more networking events than I've been to mixers, so you probably are right there.
he said unemployed. Unemployed people can be there.
I've been there. Everyone's been unemployed at one point in their life. There's nothing,
No, and there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone's unemployed at some point. I just feel like the mixers, the idea is that people are still in professional settings. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
What you think, Damo?
I was going to ask one of you guys to look it up. I'm very like a data person. What does that mean? What do I think? I feel like a mixer is similar to what Tim said, mixing a whole bunch of different roles or industries into one setting just to learn from each other, and then maybe leave away with, oh, I got a connection in technology, or I got a connection in business, or I got a connection in real estate, or I got a connection in this, or I got a connection in that. Like, it could be a lot of different industries in one place, just trying to see how they can advance their particular, I guess, company or position, or maybe want to transfer into another career that don't know anything about it. So
I got a definition for you.
There you go.
All right. So a mixer is a device that combines ingredients together. Food and liquids using beaters in a bowl. That's actually what I got the first time, but I looked at social mixer, right? And to me, it doesn't seem any different than a networking event, a casual gathering or event designed to facilitate introductions and networking between people who may or may not know each other, usually with the goal of fostering new connections and relationships in a relaxed atmosphere. Maybe that's the difference, the relaxed atmosphere. But let's look up a networking event.
Yeah, or networking versus because I would networking would be relaxed, and then the mixer would be like multiple people from different industries, a little bit more of a vibe. But I don't know.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for Tim to pull that up, I do want to get into another hot topic that we were discussing before we joined the live stream. Misconceptions of different events that we've attended, right? And the first one is the Afrotech. It went viral about how Afrotech was. I wasn't there, so
that one.
So I want, after Tim reads out this definition.
All right, I got you. So it is actually kind of what I said. So a networking event is specifically focused on building professional connections and usually has a more structured approach to facilitating introductions and conversations within a particular industry. While a social mixer is a more casual gathering where people can mingle and socialize with a broader range of individuals, often less emphasis on strict business networking goals. So I feel like I kind of nailed it a little bit there.
Okay. So networking events are more structured and specific, and then mixers are less structured, less specific, industry specific. Got it. We all learned something new today. And for those who are watching, if you haven't,
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's been asking themselves that question in the mirror, like, what's the difference? I don't know. Well, it is good information, though. It is good information.
Yeah, at least now we know what we're walking into. But yeah, so back to this Afrotech thing. So yeah, I just like Tim said, like Damo said, I absolutely loved the idea of the event. I look forward to going next year. The event, let's see, it's been around since 2016. It is one of the largest Black tech events in the world, right? So people came from all over the world, different countries, and I'm really proud about that. So, there was quite a few really insulting posts going on saying that Afrotech was like comparing it to places like Freaknik, which some of you might even know what that is. Freaknik is like something you don't want to compare it to. It's just a real ratchet type of event that took place in our mama's times, okay, years and years and years ago. And it's just super insulting. Like, to be honest with you, I don't know how they would compare it to that, because Afrotech didn't even serve alcohol. That's number one, that there was no alcohol anywhere to be found, okay? They were also talking about, like, basically people who were going there to look for their husband or look for their wives. And I saw people post, mentioning that this lady posted that her neighbor is a doctor. And even he said he was going to go there and look for his wife. Right. So they were saying like nurses going looking for their husbands. And as far as I'm concerned, who cares, right? If you want to go to a professional event and look for like-minded professionals to look for your spouse, by all means go do that. Like, where else are you expected to go look? So I don't see why that was a problem. So I was like really insulted by people making it a big deal if you want to go there and look for your significant other, and comparing it to Freaknik, especially when Afrotech offered so much more than that. Another thing is too, I'm not going to say that there weren't inappropriate things happening. I don't know, because I wasn't out there for that. But as Damo mentioned, like when you go someplace, you're going to find what you're looking for. Okay. So if you went there and you were looking for all that, extracurricular activities, yes, you're going to find it. You're going to find it anywhere. I wasn't looking for that. So I was there for all the different seminars. My friend got the interviews. I was catching a vibe with the music. So I just didn't feel.
So
wait, really quick. Last thing. The part that really annoyed me was that, to be honest, those memes were made by Black people and it trended because of Black people. And I was really annoyed because only, from what I understand, only we do stuff like that to our own events. So I was very disappointed. So I just want to let you guys know, if you did see any of that, that is not true. It was definitely a positive experience.
So one thing that I did see on social media about Afrotech, it didn't have anything to do with Freaknik or any of the finding wives or husbands. I didn't see any of that. What I did see was people speaking about gatekeeping. Like, you couldn't get into different rooms with different people because they were restricted. Like, you could not go into and talk to certain people. That's what I saw.
No, and that's true. But you know what? They sold certain packages, right? So whatever package you purchased, you were only granted access to certain rooms. I had a basic general, which was already enough money as far as I'm concerned. So they had student, they had general, they had, I think, maybe like executive, and then they had all access, something like that, right? So mine was general. So you would just go to the rooms that are providing you with access for the general, but they had enough for us to cater to us. There were a lot of topics still available for general, so I don't even see that being an issue.
I was just asking because when we went to Thanksgiving, we got the VIP, but everyone could go in every Spark session or room that was offered, right? And I'm not saying that Afrotech should have done that. I'm just saying that's the difference from what I'm hearing, right? And I wasn't at Afrotech, so I don't know what was going on there. I'm just going off what the people I follow on social media was saying about gatekeeping. And what we want to do, wait, hold on. So
okay.
Are you frozen? I didn't know if you were frozen.
No, I'm not frozen.
I was just saying, like, what I want to do when we are throwing events and things like that. I understand it's all about getting people in and teaching. I want to produce value in everything that we do and not forget why we started to do this, right? So we need to keep things like that in mind. Like, even though you have different packages, the only thing that I want to restrict, and I think you guys will agree, is like capacity limits. Like, if you don't get there at a certain time, then that's how restricted it will be. But Pia, you were there, so you could speak on it a little more with the gatekeeping, as they were saying online.
Yeah. So I was asking you, just having a conversation. So you mentioned that you guys had VIP, right? But everyone had access to those rooms. So I wanted to ask you, what did VIP allow you guys that others weren't able to get?
U Street Takeover, I think that's what it was. But you could still get there. I think you had to buy tickets if you didn't. But I'm not sure, because I would sit beside someone that just had an attendee badge, and it was just open to learning there. Like, everything was open.
As soon as Damo actually mentioned that we had VIP, before you even asked that question, Pia, that's where my mind went. Like, I'm like, hold on, we have VIP. What was the difference? What did we get? Why was I a very important person there? I was trying to remember like what perks we got, but we didn't do everything that they had to offer. But for the most part, I thought we had a pretty similar experience to everybody else at Thanksgiving versus maybe some of the other not as inclusive things that were offered at Afrotech that you had to pay for to get, right? I thought with Thanksgiving, like we had access to everything, and I think everyone else had access to the same thing. So there wasn't anything I saw that I got differently with the VIP versus maybe just going with the general. So, but again, we didn't do everything. You can't do everything, but
yeah. I mean, I did have one experience. So I tried to go inside this one room. I'm not gonna lie, and they would not let me in. I really wanted to see it. I don't remember what it was, but I remember going, and they were like, "Oh no, it's all access." It was like executive, and it was like an all women's leadership something, and I was a little disappointed. But other than that, there were a number of other things that I was able to attend. But that one, I did have that one.
People can't expect to always be able to go everywhere. That's just not how life works. You know what I mean? Like, for example, there's specific rooms where the keynote speakers are at. Like, I can't just expect to walk in there. You know what I mean? And if someone tells me no, then I can't go online and say, well, they're gatekeeping. I can't go talk to this person. Like, there's certain reasons why we can't all go to the same things. You know what I mean? Maybe you paid. Maybe you're not as important as someone else. I don't know. But I think that's normal, you know?
And I was going to say, you never know. Depending on the room and the speaker, they may have had to pay them a certain amount of money. We don't know what these people were asking.
Security
information. So yeah, so since they have these people in certain rooms, they had to pay them a certain amount of money. They allocate it to whatever ticket you purchase. So if this person, I don't know, maybe some people charge like $30,000 to speak, $20,000 to speak. So they probably want certain people to have access to those. I'm just saying, I don't know, but all these different reasons.
Yeah, it's always reasons why you can't sit with someone else. And I think of when you get on a plane, right? They pull the curtain.
So disrespectful.
They pull the curtain. I remember because I'm used to flying first class, and one time since I've been flying first class, me and my wife, we got our tickets late, and there was no first class seats left. We sat like right behind first class, and they were like, "Mm-mm."
Yeah, like you can't even look at us. My time I sat, so they have, you know how sometimes the planes have first class, business, and then economy. It depends on the size of the plane, right? I remember sitting, I think I was in the business. Either way, I wasn't in first class, right? So I remember getting my breakfast and they gave me this sandwich in a plastic bag, right? So they had the curtain closed, but I could see through the crack in the curtain. And the guy had like forks and stuff. He had like metal forks and a whole tray. And I was feeling really disrespected that I was this man.
It's like, stop looking over here.
Oh, it's not closed all the way.
Yeah, that's funny. It was just a little humor because you gotta pay for different access. So I think that's the point that Tim was trying to make. Like, you can't go everywhere just because you are at a place. you have to pay the ticket most of the time. But yeah, that was a great analogy though. So also, Tim, I know you had we had a conversation earlier with UP and I about, why Thanksgiving is relevant, or why Afrotech, like how did it come to be in a sense, right? So I do want to touch on that last 15 minutes on like why do you think that Thanksgiving was created or Afrotech was created? Because I have my opinion or my perception on why it was created, but I just want to hear from you, and then Tim, you could ask any question on it, and just have a really dynamic conversation in this sense, because I want to really get insight on this.
I mean, I think that's a great question. I know the young lady who founded it in 2016. Her name is Morgan Debaun, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Debaun, I believe. And she has a couple of co-founders, and I believe that, and this is, I haven't asked her, but I believe she wanted to create an environment and a community to help kind of encourage and guide and support, Black professionals who want to learn more and to grow within the industry of technology. So, and Tim, you and I spoke about it earlier. What was the name? Was it Blavity? I believe the name of the company is called.
Yeah, I believe so. Blavity.
Yeah. So if you guys want to look that up, her name is Morgan Debaun. It was founded in 2016. The company is Blavity, so you can find out more. But I believe that was the primary reason why she started it.
Okay. Okay. So I don't. I've done no research. This is strictly off of opinion. I really feel like it was a way to give people opportunity, some similar to what you said. Um, and this is speaking on Thanksgiving and Afrotech, right? Um, I think Afrotech is more catered towards African American people,
Yeah.
but Thanksgiving is catered towards veterans and other minority groups as well to help them transition into a different career and learn about different things.
Mhm.
But I want to really expand on what I say about giving opportunity for people that may not have the opportunity to sit in rooms and talk about different things. So because I know when I was coming up and I transitioned from the military, I was lost and I didn't know anything about any of this that's going on, in technology or business. I never thought about being a CEO before. I never thought about even becoming a scrum master before to start my journey. I didn't know what it was. And I think we have to continue to let people know about different ways to make it in life rather than just being in entertainment or sports. So it's sickening now that I think about the only thing that I knew was sports and entertainment growing up because of the things that I was around, right? I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have any white friends, should I say. And I say white friends because Tim is like my best friend now. I never would have met him if I was not in the career path because he's from DC. I'm from North Carolina. And he played hockey. I played basketball. We never would have crossed paths ever, like ever. But I just say that to say like it's becoming very well known that you can interact with different groups of people and you guys can be friends. You don't really come from that diverse of a background because Tim and I have similar stories. Like it's crazy. Like looking in the mirror, it's crazy, but I just want to expand on I think that's why Afrotech was created to give Black people an opportunity. Thanksgiving was created to give um, different groups of opportunity to come together and learn more. And I think we all are trying to advance technology. I think we're all trying to advance business through the different skills that we do have.
Yeah. I think also too for Afrotech, they're trying to leverage as much of the information and given from all the professionals to help businesses, entrepreneurs, and also investors. Um, yeah. Or I'm sorry, I should say startups, right?
Mhm.
Investors there. So startups, any new startups, she was a startup, and then anyone in business, and then yeah. So I think it was like those three entrepreneurs.
Yeah, Tim, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to touch on it. I think, from what I learned from going to Thanksgiving and what I've, learned about doing research on Afrotech, it's geared for groups that are typically underrepresented in the industry of technology, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean Black, but, anybody who's underrepresented. I heard a lot of interesting statistics and maybe alarming statistics about underrepresentation in the industry. So I think some of those events are there for that. And based on the discussion that we had before the live stream tonight, I learned a lot about different perceptions of what you might not see based on the shoes that you're walking in. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to talk a bit about it, and I'm not going to tell too much of your information, Tim. But just like me seeing Tim today, I would have never thought about his struggle from his past, right? I never would have known that he went through some of the things that he went through, and it's personal, so I'm not going to put it out there. But it's amazing. That's me looking at him like, oh, you had it easy. I can't say that about him. I can't say that he had it easy just because he's white, or I can't say like I had it easy. And my wife and I have conversations about this. Like people may say my kids have it easy, but I set them up to have it that way, right? I had to work very hard to put them in a position where they don't have to struggle like I did growing up. And I don't think it's right to look at someone despite how they appear the first time meeting them, or look at where they are today and just say, oh, you didn't have to work hard for anything, because I know that Tim had to work hard. I know, Pia, you had to work hard. And you guys know I have to work hard to be at the top or try to get to the top in whatever we do. Like,
My life was
that's
pretty.
just the case.
Just kidding.
You said what?
My life was pretty easy, though. I'm not gonna lie. But I did have to study hard to get my degrees.
Well, just cancel Christmas on me. That was a great motivation. You're like, I had it easy. Okay. But I know
I ain't struggled growing up.
You just struggled as an adult.
Living in that now, just right now.
Worse. That's worse. You just struggle for no reason, Pia. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because I do know a bit more about Tim, and Tim knows a bit more about me. And I know we were having that conversation about, is it easier for a white man to be where he is versus a black man to be where it is? I think it's all about the road that you go down. I don't think it's really now in today's society. I think it's the road that you choose, the people you have around you, and how you benefit from that environment. Because some people don't know a lot and some people don't care to know a lot. But I think if you are in search for knowledge and opportunity and growth, I think you will find a path that is for you.
It's definitely there for sure. I agree.
But it takes discipline. I'm all for discipline. It takes discipline. Don't ever think that just because I'm in this group of people, because they're not going to want to hang around you if you're not disciplined enough to do the things that you need to do.
Nope.
All right. So I know we have about 9 minutes. So you guys have any other, I covered every topic I wanted to cover. Do you guys have anything that you want to discuss before we end the call?
No, but I do want to encourage people again to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So please subscribe. We're going to continue these every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., these live sessions. If you have any topics that you want us to cover, please share that. Okay. So we are here for you, not just for us to talk to each other. If you have any questions, any comments, also put it in the chat. If we don't see it now, we'll definitely bring it back up on our next session. So.
Yeah, and something else I want to add that we didn't cover tonight is catch us on Monday nights for our live stream for our Agile Basics program info session. We do help people break into tech. We went through trials and tribulations on our journeys into tech, and we're here to make it easier for other people. We have a program starting in February, but if you want to learn more about it, join us on Monday nights for our live stream and our info session to give you that information that you need. And hit us up, hollidaysystemsinc.com.
Yeah, and also, Damo, tell them the Instagram page to follow us on there as well.
Tell them the Instagram page?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So HS, what is it? HS _ Inc _ systems. That's what it is. Hey, you just caught me off guard. I was like in a daze. I'm sorry, but yeah, great job. But yeah, everything is on the website. So you can follow the Instagram page from the website. You can follow the Instagram page from the YouTube channel. It is my name. Just type my name in.
He can't, y'all. So we'll definitely provide it with you guys the accuracy of that name.
Yeah, it'll be posted in the comments. I'll post it in the comments. I'll post all the links in the comments. If you need anything, hit us up. Tim, Pia, myself, we are here to help, motivate, inspire, push you to be a better version of yourself. And you can always push us to be better versions of ourselves as well, because we love feedback. We love communicating with you guys. So until next time, guys, thank you and see you Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.